Alright, so in this video I'm going to unpackage my new G.LOOMIS GCX LITE spinning rod. We're going to go over the specs of these rods and then we're going to do some field testing. I'm going to hit the water looking for some Oregon trout. And in the end I'm going to let you know what I think. If you're new here, my name is Barry Rager. Welcome to my channel, Rage Fishing. On this channel I primarily do steelhead fishing, but I'll fish for anything Oregon has to offer as well, including trout, which is where I got my start in fishing. I've been a longtime fan of G.LOOMIS rods. I have my first G.LOOMIS rod right here. I bought it probably 25 years ago at the local G.I. Joe's. It's a 6.5 foot light power fast action. It's caught a ton of trout, including my first steelhead. I've got a couple other G.LOOMIS trout rods, a couple of the newer GL2 line, which have since been discontinued, and I have one of the G.LOOMIS TSR series, which is the trout series rods as well. So once G.LOOMIS discontinued the GL2 line and replaced them with the GCX, I haven't had an opportunity to look at the light spinning rods, which are designed for trout and panfish. The local Cabela's had some GCX bass rods, which I was able to take a look at, and I think they compare to the old GL2 bass rods, which I have a bunch of. So what I decided to do is use some of my YouTube advertising money to reinvest in the channel, to buy a GCX so I could do a review to see how they compare to the old GL2 trout rods. So now let's talk about which one of the 17 models in the lineup I chose and why. Well, recently I started doing some backpacking into wilderness lakes, and casting distance is of the utmost importance. The rods that I have been using are the GL2 6.5 foot rods, but I thought if I added a little bit of rod length it would help me out. So the rod I chose, this is the 7'6" Ultralight. It's rated 2 to 6 pound test. It's a fast action. I'll go over the specs a little bit more in a minute here. But a few weeks ago when I was shopping for one of these rods, I noticed that Fishfield had them on sale for 15% off. It's not very often you can find G.LOOMIS rods on sale. I should mention also, I'm not sponsored by Fishfield. I don't receive any commissions, but I just like to pass along the retailers I use to my viewers. So let's take a look at this thing. So I really like how Fishfield packages their rods. I've bought some rods from other retailers and not so much. But you'll see in a second here. Let's see, which end did I get? It looks like I need to open it from the other end. Come on, come on. Okay, there we go. Let me get this stuff out of the way. Alright, so right off the bat I can tell this thing is super lightweight. I don't want to damage anything on the rod, so I'm going to try to undo the tape without using my knife. Again, it's just the right amount of packaging. You know, they've got bubble wrap on front and back, and then they had some foam tubes in the end so it doesn't bang around in the ends. So kudos to you, Fishfield. Going to be very cautious about how I do this here, not to nick anything on the actual rod. Okay, got one end of it done. What I also like here is like the first guide is really well protected. Almost, almost. Okay, we finally got to just the rod and the bag. Is one end open? Yeah, this end's open. Get the staple out of here so it doesn't scratch anything. Oh, that's kind of cool. It actually has two guides in the lower section of rod. I really like that. Like my 6.5 foot models only have one guide in the lower section, you can see. Like this is the GL2, the newer version of it. So I really like the grip. I should mention I'm a cork fan. I don't like synthetic grips except for maybe trolling rods and my surf perch rods. I have some with synthetic handles, which actually I like. But this actually has like a separate piece of cork kind of in the butt end there that probably lightens it up just a little bit. But the rod itself looks really nice. It has a little bit of an orange accent, and this is like in a silver. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this thing together and just kind of try to get a feel for it. My office is super tiny, so I don't want to jam this thing into a wall or something. So I can tell you it's super light. It seems to be really responsive. So I can't wait to get out on the water with this thing. But let's go ahead and go over the specs. So according to G.LOOMIS's website, the guides are called Sea Guide Aluminum Oxide Guides. And they're totally different from any guide that I've ever seen before. I mean, they really stick out from the rod blank, at least the lower two eyes. Looks like these first couple in the lower, or in the top portion of the blank also stick out a little bit. But everything seems to be in really good condition. So again, cork handles. The cork handle is extremely nice. Let's see if you can take a look at that. Fuji reel seat, which that's pretty common on G.LOOMIS rods. So that's nice. I also like the fact that they have cork inlaid right in the handle, unlike these old G.LOOMIS GL2s that just has the plastic type of reel seat. So just like all G.LOOMIS rods, it's made in the USA in Woodland, Washington, and they have a limited lifetime warranty. Because this is the longest model, it was the most expensive. It was $320 before I got my 15% off and free shipping from Fishville. So real quick, I'm going to go over the models that they offer, the different lengths and powers. But first I want to talk about power and action because I think a lot of people get it wrong. So I'm going to use my little 5.5 foot GL2 to kind of explain this. So power is the amount of force it takes to flex a rod. So an ultralight power rod, it's just saying that it doesn't take a lot of force to flex that rod. The opposite end of ultralight power would be extra heavy, like a salmon trolling rod would be. It would take a lot of force to bend that rod. Now action is where the rod bends. So to start out with, you have extra fast, which is a rod that bends the majority just in the tip. And the other end of the spectrum, the kind of the most noodly rod, is a slow action. So all G.LOOMIS GCX rods are fast action like this, which mean they mostly bend in that last quarter of the rod. If you can see that I'm pulling down, you can see it stays pretty straight until about the midsection, and it's in that last quarter that's mostly bent. So there are 17 different models in this lineup. I'm not going to go through each one of them, but I'll tell you they start out at 4'8" ultralight one piece and go up to 7'6", which is the one that I bought right here. But they have a bunch of different powers from ultralight to medium light. Like maybe a medium light would be a rod that you might be able to use also for smallmouth fishing. And they have 2-piece and 1-piece rods as well. What I'll do is I'll post a link to G.LOOMIS's GCX webpage so that you can kind of look through the different models to see which one works best for you. So the reel I'm going to add to this rod is a Shimano Vanford 1000. If you're not familiar with Shimano Vanfords, I actually did a review on this particular reel right here a couple years ago. I'll put a link above. But they are incredible reels. I use them almost exclusively for my steelhead fishing. The 1000 only weighs 5.3 ounces. I've got it paired up with some Trilene 4-pound tests, so I think that's going to be perfect for this little combination. So between the reel, the rod, and the line, it's going to be super lightweight. So now let's head out to the water and try this thing out. The things I'm going to be judging it on is casting distance, sensitivity, and just overall feel in the hand. I generally like fishing little spinners and spoons, but I also might throw some jigs as well. So I'll see you on the water. Okay,
Trying out this rod for the first time. Man, that's a good feeling rod. I've never had one of the rods that has like a broken piece of cork on it like that, or it's split. I don't even know what they call that, but I'm assuming to save weight. Cork is getting harder to find. There we go. First cast with the new rod. It's so awesome. There's a doe right over there on the bank feeding. Oh, there we go. Oh my God, this is a decent trout. First cast. You have got to be kidding me. Look at this fish. First cast with a new rod. Oh my brother. Oh wow. That is a beautiful trout. Wow, look at this trout. Oh my goodness, that thing is beautiful. Look at this thing. It's actually a hatchery fish. I switch out all of my treble hooks with single hooks just because it's better to the fish. See, it's already out. That's how easy it is. Look at this fish. It's okay. Look at that thing. First cast. You've got to be kidding me. The casting distance is pretty decent. The rod feels really cool. I'm still trying to get used to this handle. Super lightweight. Of course, that Vanford on it makes it so awesome. Copper Thomas Point. I've got a number 6 Siwash on there. Gamakatsu. Ooh, tap. Of course they're gonna hit a Thomas Point. Ooh, there we go. Oh, that's a decent fish. It's doing some tail walking. It thinks it's a steelhead. Come here, little man. You're no steelhead. I know you think you are. Some feisty little fish. Come here. I want to show everybody what you look like. Oh, it's kind of nasty looking. It's got some weird slime on it. Thought it was a steelhead though. That's 2 with a new fishing rod. Oh, there we go. Trout. Oh, that's a good fish. Oh my goodness, this is a good fish. Oh my God. It's a good size brown. Look at this brown trout. That's a big brown. Oh my goodness. Hey, settle down. I'll get you back. I'll get you back. Hey, settle down.
Alright, so those were a few clips from a solo camping trip I took to Central Oregon, but to stay focused on the GCX review, I'm going to release that as its own video. I ended up spending 2 days fishing East Lake, and on the third morning I spent a little bit of time fishing the Deschutes River just to get a feel for the GCX in actual current. Overall, I absolutely love this rod. It's definitely everything I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting it to be better than the GL2 line, which I believe it is. And that is to be expected based on the pricing. So as far as casting distance, I really liked having that extra foot of length. Normally I'm fishing light power 6.5 foot trout rods, and this at 7.5 foot in an ultralight power I think really helps load that rod, especially fishing small spinners, to get a little bit more casting distance. However, that's really hard to judge without a controlled environment. Let's say standing on a goal line on a football field, casting the same weight of lure with both rods. That's how I would truly know. Maybe that's something I'll do in the future. So just like all my other G.LOOMIS rods, this rod model is very sensitive. Watch this clip again to see how responsive the tip is when retrieving a lure. This is very important for being able to feel the blade of a spinner or the thump of a spoon. Also to detect light biting fish. So overall, the GCX is well balanced. I definitely felt like it was a fast action. You can see in this clip here where that rod is bending. The other thing I would say is it had plenty of backbone, and I didn't feel like it was underpowered when fighting those bigger fish. So as far as the weight, I actually weighed this rod. It weighs 2.3 ounces. That's pretty crazy for a 7.5 foot trout rod. Overall, with the reel, the Vanford itself is 5.3 ounces, 0.2 of an ounce for the line because I weighed this all together, and it's 7.7 ounces altogether. So that's one ultralight rod. So as far as the rear handle portion, you heard me in the video say that I was trying to get used to it. Well, what I noticed is fishing out of the pontoon with an expensive rod, I was two-handed casting, and I was kind of missing this lower section of cork. Well, by the end of the trip, that's where I was grabbing the rod, and it worked out just perfect. So overall, I'm thrilled with the rod, and I can't wait to get it out on a mountain lake soon. So if you have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comment field below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing, hit the bell so you don't miss future videos. If I earned it, give me a thumbs up. That helps me out with YouTube. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.